Pleasure as always to come your way on this show every day of the week, Monday to Friday. Let's now settle for the very first story. London-based Economist Intelligence Unit, EIU, is projecting some challenging times for the economy from next year. This was captured in its latest country report on Ghana, released by the unit this month. Geography now looks at what the report is actually saying about the economic growth, the cedi, and inflation rates.
Going through the 22-page report, especially with aspects that focused on the economy, one word that can be used to describe it is interesting. This is because while the report points to some challenging times ahead, it is also optimistic about things improving. For now, let's focus on the Ghana cedi, inflation rate, and economic growth, and what the unit is saying about these areas. Well, for those who thought that things are over for the cedi, the EIU holds a different view, as it projects that the cedi will come under some little pressure again, hitting 5 Ghana cedis, 31 pesos by the end of this year. It is even projecting a 5 Ghana cedi, 86 pesos for the cedi by the end of next year. The report also shows that government would miss out on its end-of-year inflation target of about 8%, but rather hitting 9.6%. While the IMF and the country's development partners were projecting some robust growth of 8.8%, making Ghana the highest in Africa, the EIU doesn't think so, as it's rather projecting a 5.6% economic growth rate, far lower than what government is projecting. On the monetary side, it expects the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana to keep the policy rate at 16%. Now, despite these challenging times ahead, the same EIU has indicated that the governing party, MPP, would see the economic situation generally improve during the remainder term in office, as it projects that Nana Akufo-Addo will be re-elected into office.
Now, joining us to share his views on the latest projections of the Economist Intelligence Unit is an economist from data bank, Courage Boti. Now, Courage, with all these figures and projections, it paints a gloomy picture about the economy. What do you make of it?
Well, thank you. We must take these as projections, really. I'll say things about the forecast figures that are put out there. And the first thing is that our own trend projection of growth over the medium term point to the fact that growth is likely to be in the region of 5.5% thereabout to 7% over the next 3-4 years. Now, if you just oppose that to government forecasts, over the last year this government has been in power, you realize that they have been a bit conservative about their growth projections. And so for each of the 2 years that has passed, they've exceeded what they projected marginally. And then I've had cause to even raise the issue with the 28 mentioned that it was way below what should be expected given the drivers of that growth. It turned out that it grew faster than they had even projected. So on government projection, really, they have been a bit conservative on that side of growth. On that side. And the third thing is that the EIU's projection of 6.5% growth in 2019 is again within that trend projection we're talking about between 5.5 and 7%. But then if you look at the reasoning, the assumptions that align the projection, we're talking about a slower growth in agricultural sector and then the lack of value addition in that sector. Probably one of the main reasons for the projection they are giving. From where I sit, I've seen that the intervention from planting for food and job, and then by extension, the activities going on in industrialization sector with specific regards to 1D1, which is heavily focused on adding value to agricultural sector and produce and all of that, most of which are expected to come on stream. Most of those factories expected to come on stream this year and going forward. I am struggling to reconcile their position as against what is happening on the ground. And we know for sure also that the problems with the FPSOs have been kind of fairly resolved now, and they are supposed to return to optimal production this year going forward. The reverse flow thing with the gas supply also has been sorted out. And so all other things being equal, the 10 field, the Sankofa Jinyame field is supposed to even produce more gas than it did in 2018. That means that more fuel, more cheaper fuel for domestic power production also, and then that should feed into industrialization as well. And then, of course, you look at the other major drivers of growth across, given the fact that the Bank of Ghana is done with the recapitalization exercise, credit is picking up slightly, and that should actually give impetus to non-oil growth going forward. I think the facts rather support growth towards government projection rather than a downgrade towards where the EIU is looking at it.
Now, Courage, do you think that this exposes the challenges that we are going through as an economy still persists, and that we are totally not out of the woods yet?
Well, if you're talking of exchange rate, inflation stuff, I think yes, there's a lot of work to do. But growth-wise, I think we are doing fine. A growth between 5-7% annually is not bad. The exchange rate, of course, let's put it right there. What the EIU is putting out there is average exchange rate for the year. There could be ups, there could be downs. I mean, like we've seen this year, it's somewhere the higher fives, and then now it's a low 5. So if you find the averages, you will find something, and they are looking at 5.31 at the end of the year. I think that the fundamentals of the exchange rate has actually the speculative pressures are kind of subsided now, and we expect fundamentals to drive it going forward. And if you see the EIU zone projection over time, you expect that the oil boom that will come in 2021, and then of course even starting from now, should boost the internal balances. Our current account should be to a surplus somewhere from 2021 there about going, even per their own projection. All of those should actually feed into currency stability. At the moment, we are not out of the currency pressures yet. We are still really highly susceptible to external shocks, which they are right on. And so we are not out of those woods yet. Inflation, as well as the medium-term target of 8% yet. And then there are risks to that outlook, given the development in currency, fuel prices, and then the growth in aggregate demand that we expect going forward. So those things actually threaten the inflation exchange rate outlook. And so on that score, yes, we are not out of the woods. But if you look at growth, I think I'm fairly confident on the growth side that we are.
So from what we are saying, you actually support the figures put out there by the EIU, the projections?
No, not entirely. I'm trying to say that years ago, if you look at what it means, that in 2019 you expect a 13.7% depreciation of the CD versus the dollar. That is a position I don't subscribe to, I don't agree to. From where I sit, we are looking at a single-digit inflation, looking at all of what has happened, the reserve position we have now, and then the expected flows, usually from the cocoa proceeds in October, thereabout, we should expect a single-digit depreciation this year. Inflation, years will not meet the 8% target that we have for the year, but it shouldn't be far of it, right? So I don't entirely agree with the things they are saying. The assumptions they are saying concerning NCD, that we are not out of the woods yet, may be right. They are true because the currency pressures are still there, and then the artificial management of the Bank of Ghana injecting liquidity may not be sustainable going forward. And so we need to correct the market fundamentals and ensure that they drive currency forward. To that extent, we've seen Bank of Ghana taking some initiatives in that side, trying to do more oscillation, trying to implement the rules and enforce the directives of the market. Those over the long term, when they are sustained, should bring back stability on the front. On the current trends, you see that we are still susceptible to external shocks if there are commodity price shocks. The development with trade between the US and the China, and then all those other external developments would adversely affect us. I mean, as it is now. So we are not out of the woods yet, but that is not to say the projections they are putting out there, I 100% subscribe with them.
All right, thank you very much for your time and for your input into this particular topic. That was Courage Boti, economist from Data Bank. Now, Chief Executive Officer of the Private Enterprise Federation, PEF, Nana Bunsu, has stated that the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, failed to prevent recent challenges in the securities and fund management industry. This follows some agitations by customers of Gold Coast Fund Management in Kumasi last Monday. Speaking on the business edition of PM Express with Philip Namfuri, the PEF boss laid blame on the doorsteps of the SEC, saying enough education was not provided to affected customers to be able to assess the risks of investments.
Because of the relation of duty on the appointees, on the people that we entrusted the regulation and the inspectorate of these institutions to. How could this happen? If SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, had been on top of their job, wouldn't they have examiners going to these institutions? Since May 2018, SEC came out and that gave a caution on some of these institutions. They should have suspended their license. They should have just cautioned and allowed them to continue to do business, robbing Peter to pay Paul. But SEC failed. So when we talk about the appealing to government, isn't SEC an arm of government? They have the responsibility. Now we have Financial Advisory Council. What are they doing about this? We have private sector businesses whose monies, income, little paucity of income that they have acquired, internally generated funding, locked up in these institutions. And the owners are riding high in style in the country. Look at those people there. Do you expect them to be able to assess risk? The risk assessment to them was done by SEC before they licensed these institutions. So their confidence to invest in. Let's not forget, this is not the end of Ghana. There's tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. How are you going to attract people to have the confidence in the integrity of the system and thinking that the risk rests with them? So what is the role of the SEC? What is the role of the authorities? They don't have any. That's what we're saying. That caveat emptor. You go in and you wanted the high return, so you bear the 100% risk. Then we shouldn't have any institutional regulators. So those are, to me, it's not tenable argument.
So fundamentally, it goes back to forbearance within the SEC.
Before the John Q Company became John Q Company and went to public to solicit their funding, they did something. They went to SEC and said, we are applying for license to do ABC.
Now, Ghana could soon be refining its gold for export from next year. That is coming from the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Benito Owusu-Bio, who says government is working to have some refineries completed by next year. According to the Deputy Minister, this will ensure the nation's revenue from mining is enhanced. Here's more in this report.
According to the World Bank, Ghana ranked #1 producer for gold in 2018, overtaking South Africa, its traditional competitor. The country now exports some 158 tons of gold annually. But despite being a top producer of gold, the nation is yet to realize its quest of adding value to the mineral. Speaking to Joy Business, the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Benito Owusu-Bio, said government is working to have at least 30% of the gold refined locally with the completion of some local refineries.
Currently, there's a big one in Accra, close to the airport. That's called the Gold Coast Refinery. And the one under construction at PMMC. And we are aware there are two others, that those ones are medium scale. Yes. But it's important that we get big refineries, because if Ghana is looking at 158 tons, yes, 30% of that is a lot. Refineries should have the capacity to be able to do that. And we would also ensure and make sure that they will be able to do that.
The Deputy Minister further indicated plans are far advanced to have some of the refineries operational by next year.
At the moment, we are at cabinet level. Cabinet is looking at the policy, making sure that the legal regime is adhered to. You know, our president is a lawyer, and he wants to ensure that everything that is done, we do it strictly by law. We are in consultation with the mining companies. They are not in disagreement. What they say is that when we give it to you, it's assumed you've bought it, so you should be paying for it instantly. And that is the contractual agreements that they have with their international partners. So we would have to also be seen to be doing the same thing. So I think by next year, we should be there. We'll begin with the first few refineries that are in place, and we'll ramp up to get to the 30%.
By adding value, government hopes to generate more revenue from gold export.
And the Products and Services Manager of MTN Ghana, Bless Sefanu Agojo, says there's the need to educate Ghanaians more on how to use the internet for benefit of their businesses. He stated this at the launch of the 8th edition of the Internet Festival iFest in Accra. MTN iFest is an internet festival which seeks to educate customers on the relevance of the internet in contemporary times. Statistics indicate that about 13.5 million subscribers on MTN use the internet in enhancing their daily activities. Bless Sefanu Agoju says the fast internet service has a lot of benefits that individuals can gain from.
An internet festival is to educate our customers of the relevance of the usage of the internet and also the tools that are available that every customer of MTN and those who seek to use MTN can take advantage of to make the most of their lives. So either you are a trader, you are a businessman, or you are in an academia, you have internet that would help you to enhance whatever knowledge that you seek to do or whatever activity that you engage in.
He added there is an opportunity for small-scale businesses to utilize the 4G plus internet speed to boost their businesses.
The person that is below the downstream or under the downstream, that's a very practicable experience that the person can have that will enhance his life and also cut off a speed to market. So if you are somebody who sells, for example, that again gives you an opportunity to either put your wares online or communicate with people with your wares by visual means. And so those are the benefits for which others can benefit from.
iFest started in 2011 with about 11.5 million subscribers on MTN. Now, the quest to live a healthy lifestyle seems to be informing consumption choices. This is already having a toll on beverages as concerns over high sugar intake increases. In the following report, Charles Aite has been interrogating healthy choices and the cost associated with it as part of the upcoming Health and Wellness Trade Show.
With the recent culture of eating and drinking healthy, consumers worldwide are becoming much selective of the food and drinks they take in. In Ghana, for example, most consumers are moving away from buying products not just because of their taste, instead of actually assessing how healthy they are.
We're here to embark on the business angle. To what extent should issues regarding sugar content be regulated? Taxation possibly, or regulation in most instances.
With a rise in lifestyle diseases, consumers, especially in urban areas, are cutting down on some ingredients, including sugar. To this end, there are calls for some taxation on carbonated drinks containing high amounts of sugar. But should that be the case for Ghana's beverage industry? For answers, I caught up with Executive Secretary of the Food and Beverage Association, Samuel Agri.
The Ghana standards and the FDA, we can still engage them further on as to how we need to apply sugar in our production. When we do that, we'll be able to have at least some percentages of sugar that you put in there, and it means that therefore there will be regulations for it. So if you go beyond those regulations, then obviously government can then say, fine, because you are using so much, maybe you need to use about 2.5 and you are using 5%. Then what it means is that for the 2.5, you are going to pay extra. Why? Because by doing so, whatever money that is generated at the background, what it means is that whoever goes to the health facilities will then have some background of reserve for them to be catered for, should in case it happens, like we have for tobacco and the other products that are harmful to human consumption. But on the other side, we think dialogue will be the best way to go if it comes to how much sugar we need to use in our beverage industry. It's very important that this has to come for discussion. It's very, very important.
Ajwa regulates the mall for her groceries and basic foodstuff. Having battled with obesity, she's now in good shape and strictly careful of what she takes in. It was nice meeting her as she walked me through some basic things she looks out for while shopping.
Fresh products, fresh fish, no carbonated drinks, no boxed drinks, just basically fresh stuff.
Why? Why? Because I mean, so if we were to go on a date and I bought this for you, you wouldn't take it?
I would.
Yeah, you wouldn't take it.
I would actually go for juice.
Yeah, actually go for juice. So is this a craze among yourself and friends and family, or this is something that you feel is now the norm for, you know, modern consumers?
Well, the thing is, our diet is mostly carb-based, and like it's got starch and sugars. So if you don't make a conscious effort to get the healthy stuff, you'd end up falling sick and getting, say, hypertension or some cardiovascular disease at a young age. Well, I'm concerned because I think about the fact that if we knew the things we know now, well, me personally, if I knew the things I know now concerning the drinks we drank, let's say you get a bottle of juice and it says little to no sugar, but then it's got a lot of sugar content in it and it all builds up and gives you problems in the end. So sometimes I worry, but I try to advise my friends to drink teas, drink fresh juices, opt for the natural stuff instead.
So how much are you willing to spend on natural and maybe sugar-free products? For Ajua, this is an entire investment she has committed to make.
And I see that. Any estimates?
Well, I shop for the house, so I'd say for not every week, but say every 2 weeks, we spend about 500 cedis or even more if you're out of stuff in the house. But yeah, about 500 cedis for 2 weeks to get stuff for everybody, to get it to everybody.
So now that we're on our journey to having some stuff, if you were to advise me on the various things on the shelves, I often love green tea. Right. You know, so, you know, Twinings, for instance, are my favorite. So I definitely will go for the one with a touch of lemon. So this one will be okay for me. This one is okay for me. But when I'm buying such a thing, what do you think I must look out for? What do you often look out for?
Well, it's tea. So tea has like 2 calories in it.
The beverages sector contributed approximately $125 million to the GDP of Ghana in 2014 alone, and plays a critical role in the economy by providing thousands of direct and indirect employment opportunities across the value chain. Increasing demand for carbonated soft drinks, energy and sports drinks, bottled and sachet water and branded alcoholic beverages is being driven by population growth, rising urbanization, the growth of the Ghanaian middle class and tourism. But as majority of consumers become more cautious of what they take in, adjusting or introducing new products could be the way forward.
Already, the Food and Beverage Association is saying we must regulate these items, but to what end must regulation be effected? For Joy Business, I'm Charles Aite reporting.
So for more information on healthy lifestyles, do make a date on the Health and Wellness Trade Show, which comes up at the end of this month, the 30th of May to the 1st of June. And that wraps up the marketplace for today and, of course, for the week. Thank you very much for keeping company with me on the show. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a great weekend.